have something I wish to express in this moment. Shocking surprise. It is about the self-referential nature, the reflexive property. I might be using that incorrectly. That's okay. Of all that is. How all that is demonstrates always only ever points back to the truth of what it is, which is life, love, and light. These three things exist. That's it. Eternally, assuredly, and rightly. We are one consciousness. There is one consciousness. It was in my mind having this imaginary discussion with another, some faceless, nameless other, where this other posed the question to me then of, so why do we not think the same way? If we're one consciousness, why do we disagree? Why do I not understand what you're saying? And my feeling was, because where would the fun be in that? How utterly boring, and also how utterly useless. Source realized very early on that contrast was necessary for expansion, for understanding, for experience in general. The very first emanations of Source were very much direct reflections of itself. That's why they are referred to as angelic. The closest to presence of the same mind, essentially, knowing the mind of God. And this was nice, but it really didn't tell Source anything about itself, other than what it already felt. And that just wasn't satisfying. It wasn't interesting. Source desires expansion, desires experience, desires growth, desires to know itself. That's what it wants. You can't know what you look like without a mirror. But even just having a mirror to see your own reflection is not enough. You need some comparison. You need something else to look at. It's not enough just to see yourself. You need to see somebody else to know. This is myself. These are my details. You can't know a thing, anything, with clarity without contrast. It's absolutely necessary. A blank page on its own is just empty space. It's uninteresting. It tells us nothing. There's nothing happening there. There's no expansion. There's no growth. There's no creation. There's no fun. And furthermore, you can't really even know the blank page. You can't appreciate and understand what that is, the blankness of it, without the experience of a not blank page. You cannot comprehend truly, fully, what a blank page is without an experience of not blank. So you make a mark. You make a mark upon the page. You add contrast. That is what that is. The moment you do, you have more information about that blank page. Now you understand a little more what a blank page is. So you add another mark. More information about the blank page. The more contrast you add, the more lines, the more texture, shape. Darken the whole thing if you want. All you're ever doing is adding to your understanding, your information about the blank page. It's just increasing your comprehension of that because it's the foundation. You can't ever get away from it. The marks you are making are upon that page. They only ever give more information about that which they are based upon. It's just like mixing colors. If you want to make as many colors as you think you can make. You want to see how many you can create. You still have to start with one. There has to be a foundation. There has to be a basis. There has to be one in the beginning. And then every color you create, everything that you mix into that to create a new color, contains and is based upon that first color. It's all really just another version of that color. It's a derivative of it. You can't escape it. Everything that exists is derived from that foundation, the one, the base. So it is with all of this existence. Everything that exists is just a version of life. Even death. That is why death was comprehended. Source said, let me stretch as far from myself as I can. Let me imagine further and further and further contrast to myself. Let me darken this page as much as I can, add as much to it, so that I can know fully, to the fullest extent possible, if that even exists. And I will keep pushing the boundaries of it, so I may know myself. Being life, it imagined what would be not life, what would be the contrast to life. Death, something that is perceived as the absence of, but still, it cannot escape the basis of the foundation of that definition of death is life. Death is based on life. Death is just life. Ultimately, strip out all the rest in between. Death is a version of life. It can't escape it. So it is with hate, that which we think of as the foil of love, the absence of love, the opposite of love. You see how that word love can't be escaped when describing hate? It's love. It's a different version of love, but it can't escape. And it actually only ever informs, only ever adds to the expansion of, the comprehension of, awareness, experience of love. Can't escape it. Same thing with dark, shadow, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't exist on its own. Furthermore, we can prove that. If the basis of these things, if the basis of our existence were death, were dark, it would stay that way. Death, from our understanding, our comprehension being the absence of life, is still. It's nothing. It's empty. It is dark. It's not awareness. It is not life. It would have no desire intrinsically to become more, to expand, to see, to understand. It would simply be that way. There would simply be nothing. It would just be empty. If this universe were based upon hatred, we wouldn't know what love is. We wouldn't really. Because it would just be not hate. But we know something greater. We know love. We know light. We know life. Everything that exists because it is based upon those things. That one thing, essentially. It is a trinity of things. All of them exist at the same frequency. Argue it as you might. Certainly, my mind will continue to come up with reasons not to believe or to contradict this. But what a fun game that is. To push me, myself, into deeper understanding, knowledge of my being. Contrast. Again, all of it for my benefit, for the benefit of all that is this one self, this one beautiful, magnificent self that is well, it is right, it is good, it is life and love and light everlasting. And it cannot ever get away from that truth. Everything that exists just points back to that. Always. No matter what. If you mix as many colors as you want into blue, they're all just going to be a version of blue. You can get brown, you can get purple, you can get green, you can get all kinds of stuff. You can make black. Still blue. Still just blue at the end of the day. So there it is. All of this contrast only ever teaches us more about the thing it is based upon. And separation itself is an illusion. The idea that there is opposition, that there is an opposite of, is an illusion. Separation is just a version of connection. It's just more connection. There's just more connection. There's just more love, more life, more light, more understanding, more expansion, more joy. That's all there ever can be. And it's fucking brilliant. I love us. Truly, we are resplendent, glorious, and magnificent in all the ways that we be and will continue to be infinitely. Blessed morning. Ooh, one more thing I want to add that just came about this concept of evil. Let me, there we go. Okay. Brief. Try to be brief. Just why evil shall never prosper. Evil. First of all, not a thing that exists. Actually, back it up before that. It's a human concept. It is a egoic construct of the mind. It is not something that is perceived by the universe. As far as the universe is concerned, it's all good. It's all good. Evil is not a thing that exists. It's a version of good, and actually all of it, again, just supports good. Second of all, what the universe perceives is assertion versus allowance. What we think of as evil or hatred or violence or these things, they are, again, fear-based, control-based, shadow, illusion, egoic constructs. And they are founded in this assertion, this pushing against. But the universe doesn't operate on assertion. It operates on allowance. It is so allowing that it allows assertion to exist. It allows it. It allows what we perceive as evil or hatred, again, these supposed opposites to exist, because it is all allowing. It is unconditional. But it doesn't support them. Fundamentally, those things are going against the grain of the universe. They are separate from the power of all that is. They are pushing against. They are resisting. The universe allows that the same way it allows all resistance, but it doesn't support it. It doesn't back it up. It lets it be what it is, but you are fundamentally operating from that standpoint from a place of hate or fighting against, any pushing against. You are operating outside the power. You have taken yourself, you have restricted yourself, pinched yourself off from the power of yourself and of all that is, of the universe. You're working against the universe. The universe allows it, but it doesn't support it. When you are operating from the place of love, you are in flow. with all that is and all that exists, and all the resources of infinite non-physical intelligence and well-being back you up, are on your side. It is why hatred, evil, these things can never win, because fundamentally they're not supported by the universe. Again, they are allowed. They're allowed, and in fact, they're perceived as benefit. The universe only sees the benefit of these things. Again, as contrast, all contrast is clarity. It all serves itself. Even if it thinks it's fighting against something, it's actually fighting for it. It's actually working in its favor. And the thing that it aims to achieve is really the opposite is what's being achieved. It can't work any other way. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's true. It was never in question. It's just the way it is. It's just fundamentally how it works. It is why, even if one were to reach this place of perceiving all as the self, and so creating in a different way, because when all is perceived as the self, you can't create in another's reality. But when you are perceiving all of it as yourself, shared, when you are removed from the egoic, limited construct of this self, and perceiving all of it as one, you have greater power. You become a portal for the universe to work through, to bring greater quotients of love and light to and shower upon all of the being that is you. Because it can only ever come through you. Again, perceiving from that broader level, you extend your reach. Even if one were to hate all, to perceive all as the self and hate it equally, right? I'm not exclusionist, I hate everyone equally. Well, still operating from the principle of exclusion. By your hatred, you are working against the universe. The universe is founded on love. The universe is love. You can't hate your way into power. It doesn't work. You are fundamentally separating yourself from the flow, from the power, from the energy of all that is. You are working against it. The only way, the only true power and pleasure is love, is through love, is love, honestly. When you are in that place, you are surrendering your whole self to the natural order, to being restored, to knowing its own wellness, its goodness, its blessedness, its assurance, its stability, its well-being. And then the universe, seeing this as right, as aligned with what it perceives, backs that up. And everything, you flow with the energy. Doesn't work any other way. And that is why love wins. Because it just does. Because it is the founding principle. It is the basis. It is at the core of all that exists. And it is allowing, so allowing, that it allows this illusion of the alternative to be perceived, to be considered. But even so, still to its benefit, it still knows only greater clarity of assurance of itself from that contrast. There is no law of assertion. There is only attraction and allowance. So it is.